So hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So in today's class we are going to discuss about BRICS, or I would say the BRICS Summit that is going to happen in India in September. So we'll be discussing in detail about the grouping of BRICS, the genesis of BRICS, when the first summit happened, when it was established, and how many members have been added so far after the genesis. We will discuss about it. We will discuss about the new development bank which is related with BRICS and other things. And this year, actually, India is going to host the BRICS Summit. So that is why this topic becomes very, very important. Okay, so you should mark it as important if you are preparing for any exam wherever GK and current affairs is asked. Okay, so let us start with the beginning of BRICS. So basically it is a grouping, international grouping, intergovernmental organization. Intergovernmental means government of different countries are members, right? So it is an international grouping, है ना? International grouping of countries. Okay, that's what you should be knowing. So right now it is comprising of 10 countries. So these are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Russia, UAE. So these are 10 countries. We will keep on discussing since the beginning. That initially we had 4 countries, then 5 countries, then actually gradually it became total 10 countries. So we'll discuss the beginning of it. So first of all, let us go back to the history of it. So somewhere around 99, 2001, roughly around that period, there was actually a person called as Jim O'Neill. So is Jim O'Neill? No, that is his full name, but he's famously called as Jim O'Neill. He's a very famous economist, and he had served in Goldman Sachs, very famous asset management company also. And if you see it, he was Commerce Secretary to the Treasury from 2015 to 2016 in UK, when the David Cameron etc. were the Prime Minister. It means roughly, like you can say, he had served as Commerce Minister of England also. Okay, that's what. So just have an idea, because you should know when we are talking about the history of BRICS, you should know these things. Now when we are talking about these things, so that is what you should know. So the person Jim O'Neill, he gave the concept of BRIC. He originally said, he gave the concept BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. And he said somewhere around in 2001, he proposed this. And he said that these 4 groupings, Brazil, Russia, India, China, in future will challenge US hegemony. Okay, that is what he said. That these 4 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, in future will challenge US hegemony. US hegemony means US superpower. Okay, that is what you should be knowing about. Now, what happened was when he proposed this BRIC somewhere around 2001, at that time actually America was of course quite powerful, etc. You know these things and all. So in 2006, these 4 countries actually came together. BRIC, the Brazil, Russia, India, China. And they decided to make a platform that, okay, let's make BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. Okay. So here is Brazil. This one is Brazil. This one is Russia. This is India. And this is China. So he said that these 4 countries will challenge the US superpower nature. US hegemony will be challenged by these 4 countries together. So what happens is 2006, actually, these 4 countries come together and decide to make a platform. BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. And they decided that 2009 will be having first summit. Summit means first international grouping meeting. First official meeting of the bloc. So the official meeting of the first summit actually happened in 2009. With the founding countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And where it happened? It happened in Yekaterinburg, Russia. So this is Russia. Here is Yekaterinburg, where actually the first BRICS Summit happened in 2009. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. So you can see 16 June 2009, first BRICS Summit. Dmitry Medvedev was the leader, Yekaterinburg, Russia. So at that time there were 4 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China. That was the proposal. So that's what you should know. Now, so basically it was planned What happened was after that, next one, it means the next year in 2010, the summit happened in Brazil. Lula da Silva at that time was also the president in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. And here South Africa was added. So BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. It added South Africa also. Okay. So it became BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Okay. After that, if you'll see ideally, since beginning they are planning like this, that we will conduct the host will be like that: Brazil, then Russia, then India, then China, then South Africa, then again go back to Brazil, then Russia, then India, then China, then South Africa. Like that hosting is being done. But if you see, in initial years we have seen some changes. So BRICS, the first actually meeting, if you see, had happened in Russia. Then second it happened in Brazil, then in China, and then in India, and then like that. So initially there were some issues like South Africa, but from here onwards, from 2014 onwards, you see Brazil, then we had seen Russia, India, China, like that, China, South Africa, like that. So initially there was some alteration, but generally speaking, the hosting of the summit happens Brazil, then Russia, then India, then China, then South Africa, and then again Brazil, like that. Then again Russia, India, China, like that. Okay, but this was the first one, so it happened in Russia. Then it happened in Brazil, where South Africa got added. So BRIC became BRICS. South Africa got added in 2010. Now what happens is 2011 China hosted this, where actually for the first time the South Africa came as a member, because last time it was added, but it came as a member in 2011. So when South Africa was added, so the answer is 2010. You should remember. Next is 2012, Manmohan Singh was the prime minister. So BRICS actually was hosted, Delhi Declaration was signed, etc. We are just talking about it. 2013, South Africa hosted it. And from here onwards, if you see, the BRICS pattern is being followed. 2014 happened in Brazil, then 2015 in Russia, then India, then China, like that. So 2014 BRICS Summit happened. New Development Bank was established, very important. And at that time, the president of Brazil was Dilma Rousseff. Now today, Dilma Rousseff is the president of BRICS New Development Bank. Okay, and it happened in Fortaleza. So we say it was formed as a result of Fortaleza Declaration. This BRICS New Development Bank. So like for example, we have World Bank at international level. Similarly, BRICS New Development Bank was the bank led by the BRICS countries. It is headquartered in Shanghai, because you will find the headquarters of BRICS also in Shanghai. So main New Development Bank is headquartered in Shanghai, China. So where is Shanghai? So if they'll ask where is New Development Bank headquarters, so answer is Shanghai in China. Now you have to be very crystal clear that there are a lot of countries which are not a member of BRICS, still they can become a member. So today, for example, we are having 10 members of BRICS, but still many countries, for example, Colombia, Sao Tome and Principe, and many others like Zimbabwe, Uruguay, these are not members of BRICS, but still they can become a member of BRICS New Development Bank. Okay, and of course the president is Dilma Rousseff, is the president of BRICS Bank. Okay, that's what you should know. Yes, and the first president when the BRICS Bank was established, the first president was from India, KV Kamath. He was the first president of New Development Bank. Right now the president is Dilma Rousseff, who had at that time in 2014, when this Fortaleza Declaration was done, at that time Dilma Rousseff was the president of Brazil, and now she is the president of New Development Bank. Similarly, they had come up with BRICS Contingency Reserve. So it is actually similar to the behavior of IMF, International Monetary Fund. Like IMF is there, which helps countries during balance of payment crisis, liquidity crisis, etc. Similarly, BRICS grouping has formed their own grouping, BRICS Contingency Reserve Agreement, and for liquidity, precautionary instrument, etc. So this thing you should be knowing about. Okay. Then of course we have told you 2014 BRICS Summit happened in Brazil. Then of course R for Russia. Then I for India, like that in 2016. Then we have seen C for China, and then S for South Africa. So this BRICS rule is being followed here. The 2015 Russia hosted the summit. Then 2016 India hosted it in Goa Declaration, and it was a joint summit with BIMSTEC also. Then 2017 Xiamen, China summit happened. 2018 Johannesburg summit happened in South Africa. Then 2019 Brasilia, Jair Bolsonaro was the president, so he hosted it. Brasilia Declaration was signed. Then we had seen 2022. So here we have seen COVID. So if you see B, then R, then I, then C, then S. So after B, this is R, Russia, then India. All they did was video conferencing, because there was COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, 2021, etc. So it was supposed to host in this way, online. India also hosted it online. New Delhi Declaration was signed. So for example, in Russia, so SCO summit also happened together. SCO and the BRICS both happened together online. Similarly, this is the meeting. Then in China, 22, again it was done video conferencing way, because again in 2022 we had some something like COVID had already gone, but still it was hosted in online mode. Then in 2023, so BRIC, after China it is South Africa. August 23, South Africa hosted it, Cyril Ramaphosa. Why we are talking about it? Because during this time, on 23rd August, when Modi ji was in South Africa, 2023, Chandrayaan 3 got landed. And at that time, he was in South Africa. And Chandrayaan 3, it got, and that's when 23rd August is celebrated as National Space Day also. I hope you remember that event when Modi ji was in South Africa and the Chandrayaan had landed, etc. So Cyril Ramaphosa, so at that time they were invited, Argentina. So because at that time there were only 5 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. At that time, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they were invited. So Argentina had initially agreed, but they later on said no. So Saudi Arabia has not taken a decision. Okay. And we have other countries, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, they have joined. And in fact, Indonesia has also joined in recent years. So Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and UAE, they have joined. You can see 2024. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE actually joined. Egypt, and Ethiopia, Iran, UAE joined it. So 4 countries joined it in 2024. So BRICS plus 4 more nations became. Okay. Then in 2025, Brazil again hosted it, Lula da Silva. Indonesia joined it. So it became BRICS plus 5 countries. Okay. And 2026, India is going to host. So this is now called as BRICS plus. Actually, we are using this word. BRICS plus means BRICS plus 5 more countries. Okay. That's what you should be knowing. Now, I've told you generally, after South Africa, again, if the BRICS rule is followed, after South Africa, it should be the Brazil who should be hosting the summit, then Russia. But actually, before that, Russia happened and then Brazil. Why it happened? So Brazil and Russia exchanged the host, because in 2024, Brazil was supposed to host G20 also. Okay, if you see it carefully. So that's why it was difficult for them. So Brazil and Russia exchanged it. So 2024, Russia hosted it, and 2025, Brazil hosted it, and then of course you have to follow the rules. So 2026, India will be hosting. So there is an exchange from Brazil to Russia. Okay, that's why India is hosting this year's summit. Okay, that's one thing. Next is how to remember all these 5 countries. So BRICS plus 5 more countries, which is actually technically called as BRICS plus. They are using this word, BRICS plus. So now how to remember that? This is Brazil. This is Russia. This is India. This is China. This is South Africa. This you know. So there were BRICS, then South Africa was added later on in 2010. And 5 countries. And so 5 countries are. So I have remembered like this. That is my way of remembering. I square, E square, UAE. Okay. So I square means Iran, Indonesia, Egypt, Ethiopia. Please remember it because they can be asked in the exam. Which of the following is not a member of BRICS? Like that. Okay. So let me talk about it. So these 4 were called as BRIC. They were established. First summit happened in 2009. As South Africa got added in 2010. Okay. Then Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and UAE. They were added in 2024. Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran. But Indonesia was added in 2025. That is what you should be knowing about. So I hope it is crystal clear because you should be knowing about it. BRICS plus. And we have discussed about it, BRICS, and then later on South Africa was added. Now we are calling it as BRICS Plus, etc. So that's what you should be knowing. Indonesia joined it in 2025. So here are the members. Yes, you can see these 10 countries. So Brazil, Russia, India, China. These are BRIC. Then South Africa was added in 2010. Then we have seen 4 other countries added in 2024. Iran, 2024. Then Egypt, added in 2024. Ethiopia, added in 2024. Then here is UAE, you can see UAE in 2024. And this Indonesia was added in 2025, January. Okay. This one, and you should know, like South Africa was added in 2010. So rest 4 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China is the genesis. On the first summit, 2009, they all were present. Okay, that's what you should have an idea. Now we have discussed about New Development Bank headquartered in BRICS in Shanghai. BRICS Contingency Reserve Agreement. There is something called as BRICS Pay. BRICS Pay actually is a decentralized international payment system which is counter to SWIFT. So there's a SWIFT international system which actually helps in international transaction. And when the Russia-Ukraine war was happening, actually Russia got suspended from SWIFT, you know, these things. So BRICS have made their own parallel international payment system called as BRICS Pay. That is what you should be knowing. And you all must be aware that BRICS is actually Russia and China dominated platform. Russia, China dominated platform. These are generally called. They have their strong play. So 2024 October, China fully backed BRICS Pay, etc. Other things actually they are talking about de-dollarization also. To reduce the US dollar as reserve currency means to reduce the or to less use dollar. And de-dollarization means at international level we will not be using dollars, we will be using our own currencies and our own transactions, etc. Like for example, if India and Russia is doing the trade, we can do it in ruble trade, and like that. Ruble is a currency of Russia, like that. So these are the BRICS countries. And this year the chairman will be the current Prime Minister of India because India is hosting the BRICS Summit. Most likely New Delhi. So BRICS Plus accounts for 46% of world population and 25% of world mass. You know, half of world population. Just BRICS Plus means we are talking about all those BRICS 10 countries. And if you talk about Brazil, India and China are one of the world's 10 largest countries by population area. You know, India and China together comprises of huge population. That you know. And leaders comes on rotating basis. We have discussed it. But we are not sure that after the addition of other 5, what will happen, how the rotation will happen. Now in 16 BRICS Summit, which happened in Kazan, Russia, there are a lot of things were talked. 17 BRICS Summit happened in Rio de Janeiro, where actually it condemned Pahalgam terror attack, etc. 17 BRICS Summit happened last year. So 17 BRICS Summit happened in 2025. So this year we'll be having 18th BRICS Summit in 2026. Okay, so we have discussed about it. BRICS has also condemned European Union's CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So what is that? Let's say European Union says that they have a rule of CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which says that, for example, let's say India has produced steel, and in that they have caused pollution while producing the steel. So when India will export it to European Union countries, they will put tax, CBAM tax, to discourage such product because it has caused pollution. But it goes against the principle of CBDR. Common but differentiated responsibility. Of course, India is a developing country, so when India will be producing anything, it will cause more pollution as compared to other developed nation. Because they have already done so much pollution in the past, they have become developed, they have more advanced technologies. So India will take some time to reach to that. So from this logic, the CBAM is against the idea of common but differentiated responsibility. It means that yes, every country has the responsibility to protect environment, but it is differentiated responsibility means the rich countries have more responsibility or the developed countries have more responsibility to protect the environment as compared to the developing nations. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. Now let us talk about 2026 summit, which is going to happen in India. This is the theme, very, very, very important. This will happen in around 12th, 13th September, we'll be having BRICS Summit this year. Building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. This is the theme, very, very, very important. Further things we will discuss in the upcoming class. And last year, Modi ji said this, fostering BRICS cooperation. He talked about it, humanity first, etc. So this year, India's theme, I've told you, building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, and sustainability. Building for resilience, innovation, cooperation, sustainability. So resilience, heritage resilience, and a standing economic and social economic resilience, etc. Talk about. And innovation in digital public infrastructure, emerging technologies, cooperation in multilateral engagement, BRICS members, etc. And sustainability, accelerating collective efforts towards climate action, green finance, etc. Okay, so these are BRICS. Now, before a full-fledged meeting is supposed to happen in September, we are having a lot of meetings. For example, we call it as BRICS cultural meeting, BRICS trade ministers meeting, BRICS industries ministers meeting, BRICS foreign ministers meeting. Many other meetings happen actually before the full-fledged meeting is supposed to happen. So you can see this year in August, we are having this much schedule. And in the September, actually, we'll be having the full-fledged meeting that will happen in India, where all the head of the states will come of all these 10 countries. Okay, so this is all about today's class. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, share this video. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.